Here's a song written and performed by the Belgian singing nun, Sister Sourire, or Sister Smile, and she became very famous of it and became top of the hit parade in the early 60s. And I'll put some the English words, I'll sing it to the English words. Dominique, Nika, o'er the land he plods and sings a little song, never asking for reward, he just talks about the Lord, he just talks about the Lord. To bring back straying liars and the lost sheep to the fold, he brought forth the preaching friars, heaven's soldiers, brave and bold. One day his budding order had nothing left to eat, had nothing left to eat, and then walked in two angels, just two walking angels, with a loaf of bread and meat. I always think of that when I go in a restaurant in Rome. It's a restaurant called L'Eau Vive, or the Water of Life, and it's right near the Pantheon. And the food is okay, it's not great, but the atmosphere is fantastic. So if you ever get a chance, go there. One of the reasons it's fantastic is that between courses or after the courses, the nuns who run the restaurant, like Sister Sourire, run the restaurant, they come and sing and have a little performance, play guitars and even dance. It is an extraordinary thing to go to, and especially if afterwards you can walk out into the front of the Pantheon and see that amazing building, which I think is one of the great buildings of the world. I'm not the only one in thinking that. It's certainly the greatest building of antiquity because it's for two reasons. It's in amazing shape, and also it's a tour de force of architecture and engineering. And I made a piece of work about it called Pan the One Slice, and here it is. There it is. I made it as a sort of slice. It's like a slice through history. The building is now a cathedral, a church, of course, and there it is, sliced right through, right to the dome, with all the light coming in at the dome. And in the middle is this, which is you can see there's a man there bringing flowers, an elderly man, bringing flowers to a tomb, and it's a tomb of the kings of Italy who reigned from the mid-19th century to the mid-20th century, more or less forgotten now. And it's in this huge place, which overwhelms them, really. It's extraordinary that the Emperor Hadrian and the people who built that this amazing structure are more remembered and known about, the Roman emperors of 2,000 years ago, than are the kings of Italy of only 100 years ago. And it's that really interests me in this building. Another thing that interests me anyway is the way the slice of history takes everything into account, some more important than others. But I called it Pan the One Slice, which is a pun on Pantheon, of course, Pan the One Slice. And it is my foray back into pun sculptures, really, the only one I've made for many, many, many years. And I made another one in another church, this time in Paris. And here I took the great rose window at Saint Denis, which is in northern Paris, now in the suburbs of Paris, which is one of their most famous cathedrals, but not visited very much by tourists. It's where it's their Westminster Abbey, it's where all their kings are buried. And in the middle you can see one of the kings and his wife with their feet sticking out, which is I thought was rather fun. But what I've done here is to sort of like bring the thing up to date, and these alabaster figures around the side are the kings, all alabaster tombs. But I've brought it up to date by making it much more colourful and relevant, by including the people who actually live in Saint Denis now, around the cathedral, and the marketplace which surrounds it. And so this is the France of today, which is an immigrant community here in the suburbs, which has a vitality to it which contrasts very much with the alabaster coldness and distance of the French kings. and I photographed all that in the marketplace outside, and so made a new window, and I called it Fresh Window because it's like a fresh window for a fresh France, a new France, one that looks forward rather than backwards. And the idea of having that sort of pun, fresh window, comes from Duchamp. Here's an example. This one was actually he called this piece of work Fresh Widow. And it's a window, a French window, a fenêtre, with painted in the sort of typical French colours we made. But instead of the glass there, it's covered, the glass, where the glass is, it's covered in black leather. And he's given the title, instead of Fresh Window, he's called it Fresh Widow. And it's a reference, because it's made in 1920, to the fact that there were many widows following the First World War, because their husbands and lovers didn't return from the Western Front. Sister Sourire left the order after her success with that, and she had a gay relationship, and sadly she committed suicide when she was only 51. And but her tune lives on, and but I mean I think I owe a lot to Duchamp's work, not just the pun sculpture he used to make when I was younger. And you know, I returned to make these two pieces after about 40 years of pun sculptures. But because, like him, I was impressed by the way he tried to put double meanings in things, and how what you saw visually, there was more to it than met the eye. And I think, you know, because in life, when you think about it, there is more to it than meets the eye, or there should be.